Guangdong, on China's southern coast. Thanks to the Nanling Mountains, a province that's sheltered from the cold air currents blowing down from the north. Warm, with the vast sea to its southeast, a great river with its huge fertile delta. Few Chinese provinces enjoy as many natural advantages as this one. Our aerial journey will begin in the clouds. Fly past the high tower. We'll get a contemporary perspective on an ancient city and discover how a time-honored transport infrastructure is leading the way to a new vitality. The first thing that strikes you about Canton Tower is its elegant waistline. The tower has a slender waist. At the narrowest part, the diameter is only about 30 meters, so it's also nicknamed the Slim Waist. It's not easy to build a 600-meter-high TV tower with such a slim waist. The core of the tower is a reinforced concrete column, bolstered with a high-strength steel superstructure. As the tower narrows, extra support is needed in the form of more steel. In fact, such is the strain that for each 1 meter reduction in diameter, there was an exponential increase in building costs. In all, 60,000 tons of steel was used to build the tower. It's really an ultimate experience to take a rapid fall from the top of the tower. Only the very bravest couples choose to have their wedding photos taken here. Flying over the Pearl River, we enter Guangzhou's Tianhua district. Tianhua Sports Center is the largest sports complex in Guangzhou City. The stadium can accommodate nearly 60,000 spectators. There's so much on offer here that for sports fans, it's like it's Christmas every day. Tianhua Central Business District is one of the liveliest places in Guangzhou City. Since 2007, the skyline here has been transformed by new buildings sprouting up everywhere. There are many impressive facts and figures about Tianhua Central Business District. Here are just a few. It has the highest density of high-rise buildings taller than 300 meters in all China. There are more than 200 Fortune Global 500 enterprises and more than 15 buildings whose annual tax revenues exceed 1 billion yuan. Hundreds of thousands of white-collar workers busy working in these buildings every day. Even at night, the buildings are still crowded. There have been professional flower growers in Guangzhou for 1,000 years. In the 1950s, an annual spring flower market began here. At Spring Festival, colorful flowers are everywhere in Guangzhou, earning it the nickname City of Flowers. Nighttime in Guangzhou is all about lights. Most lighting products in China are produced in Guangdong. Guangzhou has celebrated an international light festival every year since 2011. Fantastic lights that not only illuminate the city, but also bring business opportunities. Xiamian is an island off Guangzhou. Beginning in the 18th century, European traders operated from here. In 1861, the island was divided into a British and French concession. This tiny island retains many European architectural elements to this very day. The Cathedral of the Sacred Heart was built more than 150 years ago. It was designed in 1863 by two Frenchmen. Tai Xiao, a Hakka from Guangdong, led the construction of the church. When in Rome, do as the Romans do, goes the old saying. This church seems to have been built according to this spirit, combining Chinese and Western styles. Even this drain outlet is decorated with a head sculpture of Chu, one of the legendary 9 sons of the dragon. When the church was built, cement had been invented for nearly 40 years. However, Tai Xiao still used traditional Chinese adhesives like steamed glutinous rice and tung oil to connect the granite rocks. It took 25 years to build this church, his life's work. Marks of cultural exchange between China and the West are often reflected in minor details. Chen Clan Ancestral Hall is an ancestral temple built by the Chen families in Guangdong province. It also served as a place where the Chen clansmen could stay when they were on their way to take the imperial examinations. Here, the angels have tied up hair buns and are wearing Chinese-style clothes. The smiling figure on the eaves is the legendary god of the sun. It's like he's making a victory sign and smiling at everyone who comes to visit. To really understand Guangzhou, you need to take morning tea. Morning tea's leisurely ritual with a hasty beginning. To get to the seats at your favorite table, you need to walk fast. Tea houses in Guangzhou originated in the Qing dynasty. The earliest facilities were simply a few tables and chairs. Today's morning tea is more about enjoying leisure time with family and friends and chatting quietly between hot cups of tea and snacks. Beautiful sounds on the wind, the dulcet strains of Cantonese opera. Cantonese opera developed on the Pearl River Delta during the Ming and Qing dynasties. Over the centuries, it absorbed many elements from other operatic styles, eventually establishing its own vocal system. About 100 million people around the world speak Cantonese. Wherever Cantonese people have gone, Cantonese opera has followed. The waters here witnessed the smoke of the Opium War. Humen Bridge is at the mouth of the Pearl River. In 1840, long chains were strung across the river to stop British warships. After only a few days of fighting, all the forts near Humen were captured. After the war, Hong Kong was ceded to Britain. In 1997, when China took over sovereignty over Hong Kong, the Humen Bridge was open to traffic. Hundreds of thousands of vehicles shuttle through the bridge every day, while 50,000-ton ships can sail safely under the bridge. High-speed railways enable trains to travel at speeds of over 160 kilometers per hour. In 2010, the largest high-speed railway station in southern China was put into operation. At the end of the 1970s, Guangdong was at the forefront of the country's reform and opening up policy. As the province boomed, people from other areas of the country quickly flocked here. In those days, Guangzhou Railway Station could only handle 30,000 passengers a day. During the Spring Festival, when lots of people were traveling home to see their families, transportation was a real headache. Things have improved a lot since the opening of the high-speed rail link. The maximum daily traffic volume during spring rush in Guangzhou South Railway Station was close to 600,000 passengers, with an average of about 400 passengers per minute. Next, we set out from the southern tip of the Chinese mainland on a quest for stories and legends, salvaging lost histories from the depths of the sea. After following in the footsteps of overseas Chinese on their way home, it's time to bid the coasts farewell and head up into the hills again. It's the southernmost tip of the Chinese mainland. Flying over this lighthouse, we arrive at the Chongzhou Strait. The terrain resembles a horn extending into the sea, so it's also nicknamed Jiao Wei, Horntail. Waters from the Beibu Gulf and Chongzhou Strait meet here. The different colors indicate different currents of seawater. Shuwen used to be an ancient port. Records about it can be traced back to the Western Han Dynasty, 2,000 years ago. The waters of the Yangjiang are abundant with aquatic resources. In times gone by, ships passed through here on their way out to sea. The Maritime Silk Road Museum is dedicated to a sunken wooden boat that has been under the sea for more than 800 years. In 1987, a sunken ship of the Song Dynasty was accidentally found in the Yangjiang waters. After years of preparation, underwater archaeologists installed a huge caisson 20 meters under the sea surface in 2007. Eventually, the entire wooden boat was painstakingly lifted out of the sea, complete with its 2-meter thick layer of mud, and moved to the museum. More than 80,000 artifacts have been retrieved from the wreck site. Cleaning and cataloging them all is going to keep the experts busy for years to come. The Kaiping Diaolo is a very special type of building. Though Chinese built, what's striking is its foreign appearance. That's because around the mid-19th century, a large number of Kaiping people went abroad. When they had saved enough money, they returned home, building houses for themselves in the foreign styles they had encountered when they were abroad. The Diaolo was born. Foshan got its name nearly 1,400 years ago. Every day in the open space outside the Wang Fei Hung Memorial Hall, there are Southern Lion Dance performances. The lions are not native to China. This foreign animal has a long history in Chinese folklore. Foshan City is the birthplace of the Southern Lion Dance. For master lion dancers, an understanding of Manchun or Southern-style boxing is essential. In fact, so closely related are the two that both the dance and the martial art have been handed down through generations together. Shijiang River, originating in Yunnan, winds through 4 southern provinces. Of all the rivers in China, its shipping volume is second only to that of the Yangtze. Chongqing is one of the cities it flows through. Zhaoqing was called Duanzhou in the Tang Dynasty. It's famed for a kind of high-quality ink slab called Duanyan. Here there are 7 rocks arranged like the Big Dipper. They're known as the 7-Star Crags. White-colored Duanyan inkstone is very special. It's only found in the 7-Star Crags area. To protect the 7-Star Crags, the mining of white inkstones has been prohibited ever since the Ming Dynasty. For that reason, this unique landscape survives to the present day. Now it's time to explore the spectacular landscapes of northern Guangdong, witnessing a panorama of fantastic colors before sailing on a river of time that will take us deep in forests throbbing with ancient rhythms. There's a poetic name for these colorful mountains. At the end of the Ming Dynasty, two brothers came here to escape war. When they saw the rocks glowing with a rosy color, they named them the Dansha Mountains, which means the Red Glow Mountains. In 1927, Feng Jinglan, another pioneering Chinese geologist, visited the mountainous areas of northern Guangdong. As a result of their work, landforms like these, wherever they are now known as Dansha. The Nanling Range, stretching 200 kilometers from east to west, in ancient times, an impenetrable barrier. Only one way led through these mountains, this ancient path. Made during the Eastern Han Dynasty, there was a time when it stretched all the way to Laoyang and Xi'an in the north. It's known as the Shijing Ancient Road, and was the ancient Chinese equivalent of the modern highway. Like today's service stations, there were posts on either side of the road at regular intervals, so horses could be changed, making it possible to travel speedily up the road. Indeed, Tang Dynasty Emperor Shenzong once ordered some lychees for his concubine. A few days later, thanks to this path, the precious fruits were in the imperial capital. A 20-kilometer stretch of the Shijing Ancient Road is now beneath the blue waters of the Nanshui Lake, a reservoir dug in the 1960s. This huge canyon was formed about 10 million years ago by crustal movements. The drop height of the waterfall is about 200 meters. 15 kilometers long, this canyon is one of the marvels of the North Guangdong Highlands. A thrilling tightrope walk takes place across the canyon every day, taking a nail-biting 20 minutes for the acrobats to complete the 260-meter walk. It takes years of hard training to get the skills and courage to do that. When water encounters dissolvable rocks, you get some very interesting landscapes. This is a karst landform. There are more than 1,000 peaks in this, the Yingxi rock forest, stretching for over 20 kilometers. Eroded by the constantly flowing water, the rock gradually dissolves and cracks. As the water gets into the cracks, so the rocks inside dissolve, forming caves over time, even underground rivers. Following the route of an above-ground river, we've entered a cave to take a look at this underground karst world. Due to changes in temperature and pressure, dissolved minerals in water droplets form stalagmites. Every 10,000 years, the stalagmites can grow by 1 meter. Houses of this Yao village were built on the hillside. October 16th of the lunar calendar is the most important festival of the Yao people. The grand ceremony to worship the King Pan is held on this day. Following the worship ceremony, there will be a grand ritual called the Divine Tour. Legend has it that ancestors of the Yao people traveled a long way before they finally settled in Liannan. The purpose of the festival of King Pan is to commemorate the hardships the ancestors of the Yao went through during their migration. The long drum dance is an important element of the celebrations. The Yao are a diverse people with a long history. But wherever they live, respect for their ancestors remains at the heart of their traditions. In the next leg, we fly over an old bridge to get a taste of a prosperous past. Listen to tales from history as told by the burbling river. Feel the sorrow of departure and the joy of homecoming in the ancestral home of an old overseas Chinese community. Boats on the river are pulled aside by sampans, giving way to larger vessels. Once the larger vessels have passed, the floating boats are reconnected to form a floating bridge. The construction of the Guangdong Bridge lasted more than 300 years. It connects the east and west sides of Chaozhou. In ancient times, Chaozhou, Quanzhou, and Guangzhou were connected by sea, while river transportation enabled ships to go up the Hanjiang River to arrive at inland areas, transforming this place into an important transportation hub. One challenge for the people who built the Guangdong Bridge was to make sure that the river remained navigable for both large and small vessels. It took years, generation after generation of craftsmen, pooling their expertise and experience until these piers were completed. This clever way of construction was invented in the Southern Song Dynasty. After more than 800 years, Guangji Bridge remains in use, a cultural, technological landmark, a source of pride to the people of Chaozhou. Legend has it that in ancient times, a great number of plum trees grew along the river, so it was named Meijiang, the Plum River. The city of Meizhou sits by the river. Meizhou is where many Hakkas settled during their southern migration. Meishan district's accent is considered standard Hakka dialect, which is perhaps why this place is known as the Hakka capital. The Hakka Wei-u, or walled house, is built of brick and stone. Durable, this one has a history of more than 250 years, a mere youngster among Hakka buildings in Meizhou. The Hakka are a branch of the Han nationality. A large number of Hakkas moved to Meizhou in the Song and Yuan dynasties more than 800 years ago. As newly arrived migrants, they gathered in these enclosed communities for safety and security. In the Tai'an building, we can also hear Guangdong's Han music. Guangdong's Han music combines the music of the ancient Central Plains, brought by the Hakkas, with traditional local folk music. This bulking is called Wa-e, which means flower. It looks amazingly like a flower in full bloom. To these clansmen, there's nothing better than living under the same roof, all as one family. Over the past 400 years, this old building has seen many Hakkas come and go. Ever since they first left their homeland almost 1,000 years ago, it seems the Hakka have been people on the move. You can see how these Hakka clans developed by taking a closer look at their distinctive earthen building. Pan, the owner of Nanhua Youlu, was an overseas Chinese doing business in Southeast Asia. He built this walled house with his savings. Each of his sons had a courtyard. Each of his 8 sons' names were carved on the lintels of their own yard. While he was living abroad, this was always his dream, to return home and live with his family as generations of his people have done after him. Now for the final leg of our journey, one that will take us over a bridge, where we'll hear the sound of the waves, the voice of the sea, flying over a grand theater and witnessing the miraculous growth of a young city. It's known as the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area. A vast area, taking in no less than 9 cities in Guangdong, as well as 2 special administrative regions, Hong Kong and Macau. For years, people have been looking forward to seeing a bridge built, linking them all together. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge connects Hong Kong to the east Zhuhai and Macau to the west. After 6 years of design and planning and 9 years of construction, the dream is finally a reality. So as to not disrupt takeoff and landing of aircraft at nearby airports and navigation of large vessels, 6.7 kilometers of tunnels were built under the sea. In 2018, the bridge officially opened to traffic. Although the Greater Bay Area covers less than 1% of China's territory, its total GDP exceeds that of many countries in the world. It's so much more than a bridge linking Hong Kong, Zhuhai, and Macau. This 55-kilometer-long marvel is in fact a bridge to the future, opening up infinite possibilities for the region. How big can a seashell get? Flying over the Grand Theater tells us the answer. 90 meters high and covering an area of 50,000 square meters. Inspired by a type of seashell indigenous to the Pearl River Delta, this is the only island opera house in China. Following the course of this road, we come to China's largest port of entry on land. Every morning at 6 o'clock, Gongbei Port opens for customs clearance. It only takes less than 20 minutes to walk between Zhuhai and Macau. In 1999, the year China took over sovereignty of Macau, about 30 million passengers passed through the port. In 2017, that number reached an astronomical 128 million. This pier was built in the 1970s, but it was much more than that. Back then, it was a seed from which a mighty oak would grow. By 1979, this bay echoed to the sound of land reclamation and construction. Soon, out of almost nothing, Suakao Industrial Zone had risen. Since then, many new things have emerged here. All of which can be traced back to that first pier, the seed for Suakao, now a fully fledged hatchery of innovation. This is the Cruise Inn, a floating entertainment center. Moored at Suakao, the exotic entertainments on offer here caused a sensation when it opened in 1983. Since then, this ship has witnessed the transformation of Suakao into an economic powerhouse. And that's largely because of one old man, which is why there are always flowers on top of the Lotus Hill in downtown Shenzhen. The man whose initiatives helped bring about the birth of a new city and paved the way for China's economic renaissance. A humble pier became a dynamic city. a dynamic city that pioneered the reform and opening up of the whole country. It's science and technology that's the secret of Shenzhen's success. A place forged by the future, for the future. Shenzhen was founded less than 40 years ago. The average age of the permanent immigrant population is less than 34 years old. Young people have injected fresh blood into the city. With wireless image transmission equipment installed on the UAV, the operator is able to control the flight of the aircraft through video spectacles. Right now, you are literally seeing Shenzhen through the eyes of the operator. In Shenzhen, innovation has always been center stage. For example, just look at this SkyRail, a monorail system, the future of urban transportation. Ideal for Shenzhen, a city of the future. A city where 1 out of every 63 people own a high-tech enterprise, where an average of 46 invention patents are created every day. Just a short distance from the high-rise buildings lies one of the most primeval environments on Earth, a mangrove swamp 9 kilometers along the coast. Mangrove seedlings fall from the trees like little spears, rooting themselves into the mud and growing into new trees. It's almost as if they give birth, which is why this type of tree is sometimes called the tree that gives birth to babies by people here. Mangroves are ecologically very important. Many rare and endangered birds live here. Nearly half of Shenzhen's land is within the basic ecological control line. Natural parks are part and parcel of this modern city. And it's not just an environmentally diverse place. In Shenzhen, you'll meet people from all over the country. But no matter where they come from, anyone who comes to live here can call themselves true Shenzhenese. Before the establishment of the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone in 1980, the urban population was only about 10,000, while the rural population was about 300,000. By 2018, the permanent population here had reached a staggering 12.5 million. Shenzhen, a young city, a city of the future where everyone is young at heart. A city where competition is intense, a place where nothing stands still, where even tall buildings have to fight for their place. The International Trade Building is 160 meters high. It was once the tallest building in China when it was completed. Constructed at a speed of 1 floor every 3 days, it was created at breakneck speed, Shenzhen speed, as it's become known. But a few years later, it was beginning to lose its stature, literally. Wong Mansion, King Key 100. For decades, the title of Shenzhen's tallest building has changed hands a lot. Who knows when the next contender for the crown will emerge? In 2016, Shenzhen's skyline changed yet again. The height of this building is close to 600 meters. Shenzhen, a city where people are constantly rewriting the history of speed and height. A city whose lightning-fast development depends on science and technology. This is a fully automated building in which lighting levels are automatically adjusted according to sunlight and external conditions. The building is also equipped with ice storage air conditioning, which stores cold energy at night and releases it during the day to cool the building. Speed, environmental protection, and technology light up the night sky. Shenzhen, defining the spirit of the age, always ahead of the curve. 40 years at the cutting edge of reform and opening up. That's just the beginning.